Hey, it's John Muskillet. You're listening to Dispatch Radio.
All right, folks, it is great to get a chance to talk to this artist. We've talked to him before. We've talked about his music and that thing, and Mack Brock has been, a long staple on our show in a lot of ways. We have bumper music dating back to his time on Elevation, and now he's a single artist, solo artist out there putting out music. And Mack, it's great to have you on the show. Thank you so much for joining us.
Man, it's good to be here, Brandon.
All right, man. Let's just do the new album, the new songs, stuff that's already dropping on the radio. It's great to see that, man. So talk a little bit about the music and how it's evolving for you, and kind of how you're working through that and how people are receiving it.
Yeah, so I just released a new EP back in April, I think, or March.
Yep.
Called Covered, and I feel like for me, you talk about like the evolution of the music. It's such an interesting thing for me because I don't have a master plan, and I don't know exactly like where I'm going, even a year from now in terms of what song writing or what songs I want to, be working on, or even like honestly like stylistically and stuff. It's kind of a very organic thing that just kind of happens as I sit down to write. And so Covered, this album just kind of came about in the last year or so. Songs that I was working on felt like the Lord is doing a lot in me internally about, I don't know, normal stresses, normal anxiousness that I think like we all experience, but it felt like the Lord was like just really working in me through that. And, whether it was like stuff with like my family or my marriage or anything, like just felt like I was constantly coming back to this place of like, I have to just trust that God has got me, even if I feel anxious, I feel like, I don't know, freaked out or whatever it might be. And so these songs, for this particular EP, kind of came from that place of working through those kind of feelings and working through just kind of like stepping into a new level of faith, I guess,
Does it seem like some of the ones that are, to use your word, freak out a little bit more over are the ones that people really, really kind of attract to?
I think there's
a lot of the anti-comfort level guys, right? It's like when you're out of your comfort zone, it's because God's really working more than you, right? It's like it becomes, we back and forth with him, but when he takes over and now it becomes like a 70-30 or an 80-20 or, because we all strive to be that he's 100% in control, but we always get in the way. Is that kind of what you're doing, what you're seeing there?
Yeah, I think that's something that everybody can relate to. And I'm a type A personality. I like to have a game plan. I like to know what's next. I like to, figure out like, all right, here's my goals. Here are the steps to my goals. And so being in a new season that I don't really even know what that looks like has really pushed me and my wife to have a new reliance on like step by step, day by day following the Lord. And so I still am in that zone of like, all right, but I'd rather have a game plan. I'd rather know like what's coming, what's around the corner. And so I think that a lot of people like do relate to that. A lot of people do relate to the idea of like we want to in control as much as like we want to know what's coming, and that's not reality and that's not faith. And so I've had to learn how to, process that in a different way.
How do you write? How are you a perpetual writer? You have like the iPad thing, you're always writing notebooks, that kind of thing. How do you kind of have a process that works for you?
I have seasons where my mind is kind of not as focused on writing. So for me, just even, I've just been on tour for the last couple of months. That was actually like a really hard time for me to write. I would jot down ideas or I would jot down like thoughts, but it was rare that I would like sit down to like flesh out a song. Now I'm in a season where like I'm kind of stepping into that more, where I'm trying like, I'll probably be right every day for the next, several weeks just to start to kind of train that muscle some more. It's something, songwriting is definitely like a discipline for me. It's not it doesn't, I guess, come only like when inspiration strikes. It's something that I have to focus and sit down and do diligently, even if I don't feel like it, or else I can tell that like that muscle kind of atrophies and I get weaker. And so, yeah, that's kind of the way it is for me.
Yeah. All right, folks, we're talking with Mack Brock. The new EP he's put out is called Covered. We're going to put links there, all the social media, website links, that kind of thing. You can get all the information there to hook up with him and get copies of everything there, see what he's doing, tour dates, release dates, all that kind of stuff's there. So we'll get you all that information. And Mack, I want to really touch on, when you stepped out from Elevation, it just had to be this really, really big, bold move. And I wanted you to speak to that because I know that God calls us to make those steps, right? These big moments of leaps of faith, these big kind of tests for us. Speak to a little bit about how you worked through that and kind of then, okay, God, I'm going to do this.
Yeah. I mean, I think, anytime like the Lord calls us into something that's unknown or scary or leading something that you want either like really love or that you're like really comfortable in, obviously that comes with like its fair share of stress and anxiousness. And for us, I don't think it was any different. Me and my wife wrestled a lot with the Lord, like in our prayer life and fasting and all sorts of stuff. And really, I don't know, just we didn't really even get why he was calling us out or why he was asking us to like step into a new season. And so just like wrestled with that. But ultimately, when the two of us felt like that peace and felt that release that your assignment's done, it's time to move on, even with all the stress or anxiety that comes along with that decision, there was a peace that transcended it. And there was a peace that allowed us just the confidence to step boldly into the next season, even though we didn't know what that looked like.
That's beautiful. That's wonderful. We all strive for that as we get called to different aspects of life and ministry and our jobs and careers and things like that. It's great. People want to treat you differently, right? You're like a rock star, so you don't have trials, those kinds of things. And reality is we're all just kind of going through the same things in life, right?
Oh, totally. And, I think the other thing that I would speak to is just like surrounding yourself with people that you trust so that you're not like making these big decisions by yourself. And so for me, having a wife that was walking in it with me was a big deal because I could gauge just even what the Lord was doing a little bit by just our relationship and where we both were in having these conversations. And so if you have a spouse, definitely like press into that. But if not, find other people in your life that, I don't know, you can like trust their relationship with the Lord, but also trust like their intentions for you and kind of press into like, if you're making big decisions or moving into a new season or whatever, having those people in your life, I think like really helps, the process.
Well, that was the perfect transition there. Kind of wanted to get to with you was, as you've kind of had this journey now, you've been doing this for a while, it's had some great successes and those kinds of things. And yet, as you say, you don't really quite know what the road looks like in this journey in the near future. What is like one of the life lessons or words of advice that somebody's kind of given you to kind of accept that new season? Like how has someone spoken to you to kind of help prepare you for that sort of uncertainty, whether it be their own testimonies or whether it just be a certain piece of scripture even, or something that's just really like, oh man, that actually helped me. Thank you so much for that.
So there's a church that I'm really close to in Florida called Grace City, and the pastor there is Andrew Gard. And I remember this message, I don't know, I probably heard it maybe a year ago, that has just stuck with me. It's been something that I've had to remind myself over and over and over again. He had this message, it talked about the burden of outcome and the burden of results versus the burden of obedience. And he had this illustration just talking about how if we felt like we had to carry big weights or like even like take a chair, like a kitchen table chair, and you had to carry that everywhere you went and take that with you no matter what. that's what it feels like to carry the burden of results or the burden of outcome or whatever you do. Like, that's just like the weight that you have to carry. But God doesn't call us to do that. He calls us to carry just the burden of obedience and to be obedient to whatever he calls us to do in the moment, and let him worry about results, let him worry about numbers or your future or like whatever it's going to look like. And that just, I don't know, that's been a really powerful reminder to me that it's not my job to figure out what things are going to look like on the other side of this journey. It's my job just to be obedient today and to be obedient to whatever the Lord is like asking me and my family to do. We're just going to strive to do that.
That's wonderful, man. I'm going to steal that if you don't mind. I'm going to steal that. So Andrew Guard I'm going to have to mail him a check. He's like he's paying it forward.
Yeah.
That's great stuff. So I know we're on a clock. I don't want to take too much more of your time. So let me get to something like a little more fun and that kind of thing. Like, you know, so you mentioned your wife and this journey and that kind of thing. What do you guys do for fun, man? How do you kind of like, you know, charge some batteries, man? What do you like to do? What's the other side of this people don't know much about? You know, you're a movie guy, or you like to do this kind of hiking, adventure kind of stuff. What are you into, Wayne? What charges your batteries, man?
So we have two kids. My son Harvey's almost 8, and then my daughter Cyrus, who's 4. They're both at like such an age that we're just having a whole lot of fun with them. And so that's like one of my favorite things to do is just like, I don't know, do stuff with them. Like we do movie nights at our house, or right now I'm in like a phase where I'm showing them all like the dope movies that I grew up with. So like last night we watched Karate Kid. You know, we've watched Sandlot, stuff like that. So that's like a really, I have a lot of fun doing that with my kids. And then me and my wife, I think, are probably not too far from other couples where we enjoy just, you know, we enjoy our Netflix shows, but also enjoy like just getting out, going out with each other. I do find for us, you know, we've been in the couple that's been like every Thursday night is our date night, no matter what. This is what we're going to do. But I have learned for us, like, we've become really, really intentional with our calendar. And we've had to learn to make sure that me and her are getting really good quality time together outside of the kids, outside of work, whatever. And it's not going to look the same every week, but you know, every month we're going into the month finding times that me and her can get away and do stuff together, just the two of us.
Mack Brock has been always great talking with him, catching up about his music. The new EP is called Covered. Talk to him about that stuff. Like, and folks will put links and everything, put links to the other pieces of this on our other channels. Make sure that you need. Thank you again for Mack and his time.